Shalom. 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 Salaki, let me get a second. Salaki. All right. Shalom. Shalom, man. Want to give all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High God by way of His only begotten Son. Another Wisdom Wednesday. I know that we missed last week. I know before I said, man, we ain't gonna try to miss no more, but excuse me, Salakia, through the Spirit, man, we gonna try to make sure that we stay consistent with doing these. We don't ever take the opportunity of coming on and edifying the sheep for granted. So we want to definitely, man, give a big Salakia for missing last week Wednesday. But through the Spirit, man, like we say, we just gonna come on um by will of the Most High God each Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to edify our people. But we're not going to take too long getting into it, being that it's late. I know a lot of people may not join, but to the ones who may watch this later, man, I'm hearty shalom to you. You know, shalom to the brother Danal
Shalom, shalom.
Khan. So we're not going to take long, man. This is a lesson, and it's not too much of a lesson, but this is just going over, what I'm saying, being stronger together, right? So I wanted to pull up some information, and let me try to. Dang, it's gonna be kind of tough though. Let me see real quick. Use my own screen keyboard. Do it like this. Let me see. Summary. Salakia. All right, Con. So like I said, tonight's lesson, man, we're gonna go over being over Salakia. We're going to be going over being stronger together. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick just so y'all can see what I'm looking at. You had anything to say, before what I'm saying, we get rolling?
Nah, man. Shalom. Blessings and peace to all those that are watching, all those that are living in this truth and trying to endure, man. Um, Shalom.
Khan, a mighty shalom to everybody out there, enduring in the spirit. Hey, look, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Ephesians 6:12. Y'all know the saying, the scripture, man. But that's mighty, because in these last days, in these end times, we're gonna be going through a lot. But hey, all sorts of edification going out to be able to receive and be able to wake up people and be able to help you understand what the word of the Most High is saying. So without further ado, man, we're gonna get right into the lesson, going over a little bit about being stronger together. And this was kind of inspired by looking at history and looking at the times we living in today. So when you look historically, man, I think our nation of people, when we're able to come together and do something, we're able to do it, and we're able to do it big. A lot of people like leaving lasting impacts on maybe something that the public might seem small at first, but it has a huge impact, i.e., the Montgomery bus boycott. The reason I got this video and was inspired by it because I was scrolling on Instagram this morning, and I seen a warehouse full of our Hispanic brothers and sisters. It was actually just the brothers, a warehouse full of our Hispanic brothers that was leaving their job. They quit because they fired one of the Hispanic brothers. So hey, they fired one, then all of them said, you know what, hey, screw it, we quit. You know, and I'm just thinking, when I was watching this, I'm just like, dang, man, just think about if our people had that same mindset today. Like, hey, look, one fight, we all fight. In a sense, we don't kind of have that mindset. We kind of have that every man for himself. Everybody got the same opportunities. We all got the same 24. You know, everybody has that type of mentality nowadays. But back in times like in the 50s and the 60s, even in certain different tribes in our communities, man, you will see people actually coming together if somebody is heavily impacted by something that happens or doesn't. You know, So let's go into this a little bit more. The Montgomery bus boycott. Now we all know what it was, but we're gonna read on it a little bit. Yes, I'm gonna be reading straight from the website, but um it's gonna be, I think, which one did I click on? Right here. Right. So it says right here, December 5th, 1955 to December 20th, 1956. It said, sparked by the arrest of Rosa Parks. We all know the story of Rosa Parks, right? On December 1st, 1955, the Montgomery bus boycott was a 13-month mass protest that ended with the US Supreme Court ruling that segregation on public buses is unconstitutional, right? So what they did for 13 months, what our people did for 13 months is it said, instead of taking a bus, we will walk to work. Now think about it. These people, some people have jobs that are way farther than others. So some people are walking upward of 5 miles a day to and from work just because they all took a pact to say that, look, one of our sisters was arrested unjustly. So therefore, we will not spend another dollar feeding, the mouths of the people who want nothing to do with us. And in a sense, that's kind of mighty because when you think about if we had that same mindset today. Like today, we think our Montgomery bus boycott is walking down Pennsylvania Avenue screaming Black Lives Matter, right? Salaki, hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. But we think our Montgomery bus boycott is sitting up here having all these protesters, protestings, excuse me, doing all these marches and doing all these, I can't breathe. We do all these different type of things, right? Which have no impact on how our oppressor is going to treat us and how they see us. So when you look at just reading the first sentence, you don't even have to go no further. It went from December 5th, 1955 to December 20th, 1956. Over a year, people were choosing to walk to work rather than taking the bus. Our people. This is a huge impact, right? Let's keep reading. It says the Montgomery Improvement Association, known as MIA, coordinated the boycott, and its president, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., became a prominent civil rights leader as an international attention focused on Montgomery. The bus boycott demonstrated the potential for nonviolent mass protests to successfully challenge racial segregation and served as an example for other Southern campaigns that followed. So what happened is that Dr. King, right, who we know as Martin Luther King Jr., don't agree with everything he said, don't agree with everything he tried to do. But what I will say is that if our people had a mindset of the people back in times past, as a nation right now, we would be a lot greater. As a people, we would be a lot more united. We would be stronger together. We would be stronger with numbers, right? I think the Golden State Warriors use that hashtag in the playoffs. They have that hashtag like strength in numbers, something like that. So this goes to show you that how impactful this was, right? I'm gonna go back to um I'm gonna go back to the main page. I was trying to see how much did it cost. Um Let me see. I'm trying to see. Let me see. I was trying to see. Well, it's not pulling up on this one, but it pulled up how much. Let me see. Montgomery bus. Right. It pulled up how much it actually was costing the city of Montgomery when this bus boycott happened. Right. So let's see something. I was trying to find out exactly where the price was. Let me read this part right here. It says, let's start right here. It says, although Parks was not the first resident of Montgomery to refuse to give up her seat to a white passenger, local civil rights leaders decided to capitalize on her arrest as a chance to challenge local segregation laws. Shortly after Park's arrest, Joanne Robinson, a leader of the WPC, and E.D. Nixon, president of the local NAACP, printed and distributed leaflets describing Park's arrest and called for a 1 day boycott of the city buses on December 5th. They believed that the boycott could be effective because the Montgomery bus system was heavily dependent on African American riders, who made up about 75% of the ridership. Some 90% of the African American residents stayed off the buses that day. So 70%, 75% of Montgomery, their bus, I guess, financial income came from African Americans, right? And it said some 90% of the African American residents stayed off the buses that day, right?
That's
But
crazy, man.
right,
75%. That's pretty much everybody. But it
right,
makes sense because I guess the so-called white people probably had their own vehicles and whatnot, and it would leave the African Americans to ride the bus, which leads into the whole point of why they integrated everything just to capitalize off of being able to make money off of not just the white folks but the African Americans as well. Not so much because they wanted everybody to be equal, but they knew they could capitalize off us and into systems like the bus systems, man. Because
right,
you see right here, 75% of the bus riders were us. You know how much money that's bringing in?
right. And you got to think about it. When it comes to understanding integration as a whole, integration, segregation is something that these people always wanted. They never really wanted to include us, but the reason they had to is because their mindset changed of, we're keeping these people oppressed, to wait, we can actually profit from doing business with these people. Instead of saying, I'd rather, what I'm saying, keep you at your wages, I'd rather your wages increase so my wages can increase. That's one of them things. Like, I don't think people understand how when they say, "Oh, you're not physically oppressed anymore," and you're not actually going through actual things because so many things have changed since your grandmothers were children, and this, that, and the third. Well, it's all mental now. A lot of this captivity now is definitely mental and spiritual. Of course, it's always been that, but it's definitely a lot more mental.
Right. There's a precept. Um, I believe it's in Revelation, man. We harp on it all the time. Of course, we know Deuteronomy 28 and 68, where it talks about we're gonna be going back into Egypt again on ships, right? And uh, with that being said, we know that Egypt was talking about a physical bondage, right? Which we actually went into a physical bondage. And right here in Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8, man, is talking about a spiritual Egypt, right? And so we know we're not in physical bondage right now, but it's a spiritual bondage. That's why it says it's a spiritual Sodom and a spiritual Egypt, right? And that just goes to how the scriptures relate everything so perfectly, right? And how prophecy works. Because we see it doesn't say spiritual Egypt in Deuteronomy 28 and 68. It says literal Egypt, right? Because we actually did go into hard bondage, right? And like the brother was saying, right now, the state that we're in, a lot of people will be like, we're not. And I got friends that's like that too, that I went to high school with, that'll argue that we're not in any type of captivity right now, man. But as Revelation said, man, this is spiritual Egypt, right? So we're in spiritual bondage, right? And it's not hard to see, especially if you're a so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native American.
Right. Con. So I'm just basically saying, like the brother just said, spiritual. Hey, we know the law is spiritual. A lot of people don't understand that. Hey, look, everything is spiritual first, then it becomes physical. Everything is spiritual first, then it becomes physical, right? Hey, look, this law is spiritual that comes physical when we perform the acts of righteousness. We know the Most High God. Look, he set these things up for a reason, right? Let's go to the Bible. Let's go to the book of Joshua, chapter 23. I'm gonna read verse number I'm gonna start at verse number. Let me start at verse number 1, right? Because this is after, hey, this is when Joshua was getting ready to, what I'm saying, hey, take his rest. He's getting ready to sleep with his father. So he called everybody of Israel together and he wanted to speak to them, right? And this is after we've conquered the land that the Most High promised to us. Starting at verse number 1, it says, "And it came to pass a long time after that the Lord had given rest unto Israel from all their enemies round about, that Joshua waxed old and stricken in age. And Joshua called for all Salakia, and Joshua called for all Israel, and for their elders, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and said unto them, I am old and stricken in age. And ye have seen all that the Lord your God hath done unto all these nations because of you. For the Lord your God is he that hath fought for you." Verse number 4, "Behold, I have divided unto you by lot these nations that remain, to be an inheritance for your tribes, from Jordan with all the nations that I have cut off, even unto the great sea westward. And the Lord your God, he shall expel them before you and drive them out of your sight. And ye shall possess their land as the Lord your God had promised unto you." So this is what the Lord is telling us. This is what Joshua is telling us, that the Most High did these things. The Most High made all these moves on behalf of our people. Now we talk about this all the time, so it's nothing new to understand how much the Lord loved Israel, right? Let's keep going. Verse number 6, "Be ye therefore very courageous to keep and do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses. Then ye, Shalakia, that ye turn not aside therefrom to the right hand or to the left." So we know that this goes right back into when we talk about a gift destroyed the heart, like it mentions in Deuteronomy, like it mentions in Ecclesiastes, right? A gift destroys our heart. This is what Joshua commanded to the people: forsake not the law of Moses, keep them, right? Do everything that is written therein. Let me go to the book of um, Malachi real quick. Malachi chapter 4, right? It said, "Remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and the judgments." So again, we understand that, look, again, the Most High is reiterating that Malachi chapter 4 was talking about when the Lord is coming, right? Joshua is saying right here that we should keep the law of Moses. The same thing over again. It goes back to us keeping the law. The Most High gave us all these things and told us, look, let's not forsake this, because if we don't forsake it, we will be blessed forever. But if we do forsake it, hey, look, all these curses shall come upon us and overtake us, right? Let's go to verse number 7. "That ye come not among these nations, these that remain among you, neither make mention of the name of their gods, nor cause to swear by them, neither serve them, nor bow yourselves unto them," right? "But cleave unto the Lord your God, as ye have done unto this day." So the reason I'm reading all this is because I want to substantiate that the Most High told us to do these things by way of his prophets, by way of his servants. He told us to keep the commandments. He told us to obey them. He told us not to worship other gods. He told us not to do all these things because things would happen if we didn't keep these commandments, right? It says, verse number 9, "For the Lord had driven out from before you great nations and strong, but as for you, no man had been able to stand before you unto this day." Now, verse number 9 is important because when you think about during the time of Joshua, when we're after Moses passed, Joshua has to be the leader of the people of the children of Israel, and we have to go fight all these nations to get this land. And we didn't lose not one battle. And Joshua, hey, he was tapped in the spirit. The Most High was with our people. We had the Ark of the Covenant. We was mighty, moving on behalf of the Lord. You had grown men getting circumcised. You had Joshua circumcising the people, right? This is important because every time we was obeying the Most High God and we was in the spirit, nothing happened unto us. Nobody could touch us, right? And he said, "But as for you, no man have been able to stand before you unto this day." Even if you go back to this, even if you go back to 1955 with this Montgomery bus boycott, right? You see, it took a year, but look, the people weren't able to hold their position about why we feel like segregation should be allowed when it comes to riding buses, because they understood that, look, they didn't do it from a standpoint of they think all men are created equal. When the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, all that was written, when it talks about all men are created equal, it wasn't mentioning the people who were slaves. How could all men be created equal, but yet there are people be slaves? And we're talking about the type of bondage that makes you want to fight some white people right now type of bondage. A black man getting raped in front of his family. A black man getting beat for no reason. A woman has to lay with another white man to please the slave master. And if she don't, then the husband's going to pay for the wife's punishment. We talking about those type of things that were going on during the time that the Declaration of Independence was written, the Bill of Rights, the United States Constitution. You know what I'm saying? When the America got its so-called freedom on July 4th, 1776. That was going on during that time. All due to the curses that we were under, right? But they seen it from a standpoint of, look, we we can't function as a people without these people money. So don't look at it from a standpoint of you're equal to them. No, make them think that you're equal to you, but always know that you're better than them. We just want their money. And that's literally all why integration was allowed when it came to the Montgomery bus boycott. They looked at how much money they lost in the year that it happened. And guess what? They was like, nah, we can't afford this. Y'all white people just got to get comfortable. Because, hey, look, we ain't trying to go broke. You know what I'm saying? These people starting to get smart, which is why they had to do the same thing to Greenwood, Oklahoma, back in Wall Street, in Black Wall Street, because they see a successful community ran by a so-called black man, and they got jealous. They said these people shouldn't be able to economically profit off of one another, off of themselves. Just like if you go watch the movie The Banker in 2020 with Anthony Mackie and Samuel L. Jackson. If you go watch that movie, The Banker, they literally, Anthony Mackie was literally, him and Samuel L. Jackson were two rich black men who Anthony Mackie decided he wanted to go back to his hometown and buy banks and give approved loans for his people so that way his people may be able to succeed. It was fine when Anthony Mackie was making all the money and Samuel L. Jackson was making all the money and did nobody else profit. But once he went back to Texas in his hometown and started getting these black people loans legally, they were legal too. They had a problem with it, so they had to find some loopholes in it. And guess who? Guess who initiated that whole process? The so-called white man. We know that this is a truth, though, according to Joshua 23:9. Though, when the Most High, we was in the spirit and keeping the laws, and we was in the Most High's presence, nothing ever happened to us. You got anything to add up?
Uh, um, not concerning the scripture, but I guess concerning just sitting over here thinking,
Hmm.
just about the boycott and whatnot, man, and how uh even back then we were, as a nation, man, we were not as far gone as today, man, and
Right.
just to see what they accomplished back then, even with that little 1 day boycott, um and then to come fast forward now and see the type of stuff that we did. Like you mentioned at the beginning of the video, like the singing, the marching and dancing, man, and then I was thinking, like, the only real two boycotts that we've ever really done in my lifetime was, of course, we know about Colin Kaepernick taking that knee, right?
Right.
And the majority of our people really cooned out because nobody really supported this man. Even public figures such as Stephen A. Smith, man, was cooned out and going against his brother, and that's how broken of a people we are. But not only that, I don't know if you remember back in 2014 in the playoffs, the NBA playoffs, the Clippers, um, there was talks about them boycotting that game 5 or game 4, I believe,
Hmm.
with the Warriors because Donald Sterling had
Right.
said some racist comment, right? And I was kind of excited for that. I was hoping they would, and then they ended up playing the game anyway, which was really disappointed, man, because it's like, man, we were finally about to stand up for something, and be a nation, and because basketball is a sport that's ran, predominantly by black folks or African Americans, just like that bus system was, right? 75% of the bus riders were African American. I'm led to believe at least 85% of the NBA is African Americans, right? And so that would have been, of course not. I don't think it would have been equivalent because these folks gave up the bus and they had jobs, and it was already a struggle to provide for their families. And this is just a basketball game, but still, it was a chance to impact our nation and bring our nation together. Talking about the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans on something that was going to be televised, right? And we failed. We failed, man. And the only comment that we got was from Blake Griffin. If you remember what he said something along the lines of, um, he was like, we decided to play because we never put on our jerseys to play for Donald Sterling anyway. We play for ourselves. Some lame excuse, man. But it's like, man, we were finally finna do something right as a nation, and we failed, and that just shows you how we are as a nation today and how broken we are, man, and how how we still got that spiritual bondage, right? Because they played for vain reasons, right? They could have stood up for something, but they ended up falling for something way bigger than they could even imagine. So,
Con. Hey, that's important to know because it's just pretty much like this. You have a chance, an opportunity to take a stand and make a difference, right? Even though we know realistically how this stuff really, I mean, I'm not even going to say it doesn't matter. I don't want to go that far. I'm going to say that it's not going to matter until we do it the way it should be done, which is taking heed back to these laws, statutes, commandments, having the
right.
faith, you know what I'm saying, to go with all the works that we do. That's when it's going to officially mean something. Like the Rock song is so important when he said, we tried marching, protesting, singing, and dancing. I wonder what would happen if we did these commandments. Or if we
Con,
all stop sinning at once, what's going to happen?
young and we on the ancient path. We old
We old
fashioned.
fashioned, right? So it's just like we have to understand that there's going to be a certain way that we're going to be able to have to turn what's going on with us around, right? Because when you go look at this history, right, and you go look at the impact that it had on the so-called white man and their economics, you realize how important the black dollar is in the world right now, right? And you go look at how the difference, how much of a difference it would make if our people truly said, you know what, screw it, we're going to take heed to these laws, right? It would be a global shutdown. It would be so important because as long as we're paying, they don't mind giving us little band-aids to heal our wounds. They're not truly going to give us what we really need, right? I was looking on a website and I was seeing, let me pull this up real quick. I can't pull it up on my phone because it's not pulling up. But for some reason it'll pull up on my phone the way I searched it, but it won't pull up on my desktop. But it said from 1955 uh it says from 1955 to 1956, African Americans boycotting bus segregation in the city of Montgomery, Alabama, sent a message to white nationalists that said, we used money to get your attention, right? So money is what's going to get the attention of white nationalists, not songs, Negro spirituals, and hugs and dances and kisses, right? It's going to be money, right? The Montgomery bus boycott, and it says 1.2 trillion in reparations. This is the title of the article. Now, it says about it cost the city of Montgomery about $3,000 per day. You know what I'm saying? And at the time of the boycott, African Americans made up about 45% of of the population, right? And of course, we already went over that 75% of African Americans were the ones who were riding the bus. But not only was we're taking money away, excuse me, I use improper grammar. Not only were we taking money away from riding buses, We were also taking money away from other established businesses that were white owned, you know. So we were finding other things to do with our money, right? And it was actually more of a benefit to our communities than it was a, a negative impact. And I think that's what a lot of our people get confused with today, is that we look at maybe the impact that'll have from us doing this will be bad rather than good. We
Right.
never tried that. Salakia, go ahead.
No, I was saying right. Even in the case for um the NBA, right? The finals, right?
Hmm.
It's like, man, you about to do a good thing. All you guys are millionaires, man. You know what I'm saying? I think the minimum wage in the NBA is like 175K or something like that, man. So it's like, man, all you guys is making money. Y'all could afford to get fined for one game, but it's like, man, y'all just couldn't do it, right? It's like not one person on the team wanted to sit out. That's just madness to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you try to say you doing it for the fans and whatnot. Do it for your black fans, man. Right? Because they the ones that really matter, to be honest. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You because you going out there to play for your white friend, your white fans that think the situation isn't that big a deal, right? So at the end of the day, you playing for your slave master and Donald Sterling and the white fans that want to see niggas play, right? And it's like, man, it's so crazy, man. You throw something good away for vain reasons, like you was just saying.
Right. And we talked about this before. I think that we've sat down and actually talked about this before when it comes to, the black buying power in America. We have probably the strongest buying power, in my personal opinion, uh, in the United States of America. The so-called blacks and Hispanics, right? Just combined together, we spend over $2 trillion in this country, and only make up a total about 35% of the United States population combined, right? Black Americans make up, no, not 35, about 30, 31. Black Americans make up, I think, was it in 2019, about 13 point some percent of the United States population, and acquired 1.4 trillion, excuse me, $1.4 trillion in spending, right? Which was almost a 50% increase from the years 2010 to 2019. So literally in 10 years, we've seen a 50% increase in black spending. This is important because this goes back to why integration was allowed in the first place. It wasn't that these people seen us as equal. They just start seeing color and they started seeing money. You know what I'm saying? They was just like, oh, you know what? I don't care about your black skin. You got green dollars. That's what I need to be successful. We always better than you, but we really want your money. So we want you to make you feel like you equal. Like the brother was saying, if you sit out one basketball game, who will it hurt outside of the paycheck of everybody? But you got to think it's going to be more of a detriment to the people who want you to play than you yourself actually playing or not.
Huh.
Our people, like, we have this simple mindset about protesting. We have this simple mindset about uniting. We will unite for all the foolishness in the world. You will see a million people at Freaknik. You will see a million people at an NBA, NFL, WNBA, NHL, baseball game, whatever. You will see a million people at a Young Boy concert, Uzi concert. You will see all of our people there at these places. But when it comes time to say, let's make a difference with a different tactic other than marching and protesting, our people are nowhere to be found. You got to think. They give us these my body, my, I mean, not my body, my choice, but they give us these Black Lives Matter, I can't breathe, more than an athlete. They give us these platforms to speak how we feel, but it doesn't really hurt them economically. It doesn't hurt the government economically that people are marching down, march on Washington. If we had another march on Washington, the government wouldn't be tripping. They'll just be like, oh, niggas protesting again. It's not nothing big, right? It's not
Huh.
nothing big. But if we were to say, okay, we're no longer spending another dime on Netflix, Amazon, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, because Facebook owns Snapchat and Instagram. I'm not spending another dime on Starbucks. I'm not spending another dime at Kroger or Walmart, anything that's white owned, I'm not spending another dime on. If all of our people did that at one time, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, if we all did that at one time, just imagine the economic impact we would have on the United States of America alone. That would hit United States of America so hard, it will actually shock the economy of the world in a sense. Because if everywhere in the world we stopped doing that and started saying, look, we only gonna spend our money to our people, it'll be a huge difference. They'll go from saying, okay, you need to do this, that, and the third. Now they're gonna try to find ways to make taxes a lot higher on our people who have these businesses, so that way they can still keep our dollars fluctuating in their system. It's kind of crazy how the game goes. And you got to think, that's just the price that comes with paying when it comes to uniting, unifying. We can't do that now. But if we can just look at this right here, the Montgomery bus boycott, and look at the impact that we had in 13 months, 381 days, just imagine what we could do for a year. I mean, longer than a year. Imagine what we could do for 18 months. Imagine what we could do for 24 months. Everybody's just too scared to try it and see.
Con. Just like just like everybody's too scared. And again, not to harp on another NBA example, man, but like the brother Swish said, you know what I'm saying, J.R. Smith,
Right.
where
I
he
was
was
just gonna
saying,
say
you
that.
know what I'm saying, Con, man, where he was saying, man, you got all these professional athletes, man. We're all so great, making all this money, but yet none of us have got together and made our own gym. We got to go and work out at these white people's gyms and whatnot, man. Like we don't got the money to make our own gym, right? And it's like, and that's just because our people, one, are selfish. Two, they can't see no type of vision concerning our nation coming together, man, for anything. And three, man, uh, it's like a three, man. Uh, our people are like you said, man. Like it's getting to the point where it's it's almost impossible to even fathom us coming together on one thing, right? And Black Lives Matter doesn't really count, you know what I'm saying? Because that's it ain't nothing to throw on a shirt, man. But like the Bible preaches, man, you know people by their fruits, man. And unfortunately, putting on a shirt isn't enough to show somebody your fruit. Showing somebody your fruit is actually coming together to get something accomplished, like Black Wall Street, right? Opening a line of black owned gyms, man, that are high class, and that would be a start. Just because basketball is big in our community, not saying that basketball should be big in our community like that for real, but
Hmm.
um, it would be something big for our culture, man. That would set the stage for us to come together on a lot of stuff, like um, you know, getting our own banks and things like this, man. Maybe even getting our own news station, man, so we can tell it from our point of view. I know they probably would never let that happen, but it would be a stepping stone.
Right. Hey, that's important because it's just like there is so much more to life, you know what I'm saying? And there's so much more to our people than what we glorify, what they glorify on us. They put these stigmas on us. And, as time that Israelites, we got to kind of pump the brakes too, because we speak so much negative on our brothers and sisters at times when we see them doing these things of folly. But we got to start realizing that, man, at one point in time, we were those same people with those same mindsets. This is why brothers are doing videos, going out on the street teaching, doing their best to wake up the people and helping our people see the truth. Because I'm telling you now, Christianity, all these different religions, the government, everybody is doing their hardest to keep our people asleep. You got pastors who are our people literally doing the best they can to show people why the so-called Hebrew Israelite people are bad people, speaking all manner of bearing false witness, lying, and our people believe them. And that's
Right.
why we have the mindset that we do of saying, look, I got my money, I'm gonna give 10% to the pastor at the church, then the rest of my money is my money.
Because our people love to see um, our people we love to tear each other down, man, right? And
Crabs in the bucket.
for lack of better terms, you know what I'm saying? Kevin
Right.
Gates spoke on this topic, and he was like, "Man, when when I was going through my hardest times and all that stuff, man, it was niggas that was kicking me down. It wasn't white folks. It was my own people. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it is, man. And you got a lot of these pastors, like you said, man. They're going in on us and whatnot because in their mind it's like, who are these niggas to come and screw up what I finally got to the position where I can be over my own church, right? And now they trying to take away the doctrine that I've learned so hard. You know what I'm saying? Regardless if it sups well with them or anything, right? It's always that spirit of uh niggas always got to come and ruin something with,
Right.
with evidence and truth and whatnot, right? Why can't I just be a coon? You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of vibe we get from everybody in America, all the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Americans. Now, well, I can't even say Hispanics and Native Americans like that because Native Americans, they stay in their community, and Hispanics for the most part they stay in their community as well. You know what I'm saying? I know, especially for Mexicans, you know, the money that they make here in America is all fine and dandy, but almost every single penny they earn, they sending it back to Mexico to help out their families and stuff like that. So even the Hispanics and the Native Americans, they somewhat still got you know, that key unity between them. But the so-called African Americans, man, we just gone, man. It's sad. It's embarrassing.
Right. But you got to think about it too. Like, say if I'm a Hispanic, right? I may not know how black people get. Well, you can see that. So I ain't gonna say that. If I'm a Hispanic, I might feel the same way how black people feel about black people. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
even in their respective tribes, you can see that there might be madness going on between you know, their people, our people. But at the same time, we can just see which tribe of people just goes after wickedness like the most. It's just like ants, like especially sugar ants.
Right.
It's just they always cleaving to something. That's the so-called black man, the so-called black women in America. That's what we do. We live to have a good time. We live for the party, man. We don't consider none of the things which shall befall us after this life, right? And that's why it's hard for us to come together. That's why the brother Donald, he making a mighty point, man. That's the most used line I've ever heard when it comes to trying to spread truth, trying to teach people to think differently. It's always that one nigga that says, "Man, see, here come niggas always got to ruin the moment, bro. We just trying to have a good time. Y'all just trying to, you know." I've heard that line so much, man. If every time I heard that line, boy, I'd be living in a mansion right now. It's crazy because that's so factual. Our people don't have, like we said, we don't have the mindset of coming together for the right reasons. We just want to come together for the wrong reasons. And we want to come together for unprofitable reasons. Our people glorify making money moves, but when it's actually time to make money moves, they don't want to make no money. They, matter of fact, they want to make money so much that they're willing to go against you so that way you won't interrupt their money process. They money
Right.
flow. It's
You
no
know,
way. Oh, Salaki, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna make a comment, man. You know, there's a veil that's been put over all the so-called African Americans and whatnot, and we know it as Stockholm syndrome. You know, and it gets to the point where these folks that are in this coon like mentality, they think like, man, what it really boils down to being afraid of persecution, right? And so like the truth comes out, it's time to, you know, unify and whatnot. Some people are just afraid of the persecution that might come with that, not knowing that any type of persecution that may come against us, there's too many of us, and we're too smart and too strong to even be overcame. But we've been beaten down so bad that our people can't even fathom us winning any type of battle. You know what I'm saying? I was watching a TV show, and they were going over the ancient, I think the ancient Romans, about once upon a time in Rome, right? They had slaves, of course, and I forgot which emperor it was, but he was trying to push for all the slaves to be in uniform, right? So I think he wanted all of them to have the same color cloak or something like that. And in the council, they denied it. Why? And why did they deny it? Because They said because if all the slaves were in uniform and they all dressed alike, one of these days they're gonna look around and they're gonna say, "Hey, we outnumber these guys." You know what I'm saying? Let's take them out. And and that's kind of like what's happening to us, man. All of our people are just blinded, and we can't even tell that we all look alike. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We can't even tell that we all look alike, and that if we came together, no one could stop us. But that's the blindness that came in part with Israel, you know, and only the Most High can take that blindness from us, man. Unfortunately, right now, uh, you know, it's the laborers are few, and the majority of our people got them blinders still on, man. They can't see that we all have the same color cloak, right, between the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Right. You got to think, man. This is crazy because we know that when it comes to money and all these everything that goes on, we know that that is a lot of reasons why our people are so lost because we chasing the wrong things, man. They taught us, they trained us how to chase a bag, right? That as a people we don't even got. We did a lesson on this before when it comes to, you know what I'm saying, hey, look, we should be willing to suffer more now and enjoy ourselves later versus enjoy ourselves now and suffer for it later. We did a factual Friday lesson on that actually. But that just goes to show, like, when it goes to the money thing at all, this is going back right to the Montgomery bus boycott. We chose to use money to be our voice instead of actually thinking that voting and the shirts that we wear and the chants that we say was actually going to make a difference. That stuff doesn't change anything. And that's not how we come together. Our people are so quick to march to the polls, but don't want to do anything outside of that. We think that,
Right,
oh, we can just cast our ballot, wait for the long election process. After we've seen over and over and over and over again the amount of voter suppression cases that went on, you can even have people tell you that voting actually doesn't make a difference. People can literally redline the districts and control the votes that they receive because they have a target community. You know what I'm
right.
saying? This is crazy to know that all this is going on, but yet we still trust in it. Go ahead, my bad.
No, I was just saying, man, on that point, man, it just boils down to our people being lazy and being cowards, man, right? We take the easy way out. The easy way out is let me throw on a shirt that says Black Lives Matter, and then let me go cast a vote, right? And the coward part about casting votes is you can you can say, you know what I'm saying, you putting your vote in, but you only doing this action because you get to go behind closed doors and do it anonymously. Because Lord, because we all know if voting was out in the open, a lot of these coons would not vote the way they do anyway. You know what I'm saying? And so it all just boils down to being lazy because you taking the cheap way out. You don't really want to, take any risks. You don't really want to unify for real. And we came across this was it last Shabbat, last Sabbath,
Right.
where we saw that group of that family that had the shirts that say we are uh it says, what did it say on the back? It says like we
Our
we the
we
one
we the ones, yeah, something like that.
we the ones that matter or something like that. And then we try to talk to them about, our people and the betterment of our people in our community, and they didn't have 5 minutes for us, not even three
Man,
minutes you know what I'm
they
saying?
peeled out of that thing. Look, if we would have asked them to tell us why we should vote, they would have been trying to talk our head off about that, right?
Right,
But the fact that we was actually trying to put them on a different type of knowledge, and understanding, hey, they didn't have time for that. But
right,
that's just people in general, man. That's especially our people. Our people will literally turn a blind eye to us because they don't agree with what we're saying, or maybe they don't understand enough to agree or disagree with what we're saying. They don't know what
right,
the hell we saying. Salakia. They just know we saying something, and they because it's men that's saying, "Hey, look, we want to talk about the Bible." Now all of a sudden it's, "Oh, nah, I ain't. I praise God tomorrow." Literally, a man said that last Sabbath
right,
out there teaching. Oh, I talk to the Lord tomorrow on Sunday. You know, this is getting kind of crazy, right? This is Proverbs 1 and 22. It says, "How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge." Right? So we literally see how fools hate knowledge today. Because when we go outside on the highways and byways to try to give our people a little different understanding about maybe the Bible that they've been reading or not, they really don't want to hear it. They really turn their eye away from us. I promise to you right now, it's nothing more vexing than when I see our people, so-called black men, and they in positions of power, and then they start quoting Bible scriptures and stuff like that. You see how many likes, comments, shares, retweets, and stuff that they get. And when you read the Bible and actually understand it a little bit differently than they do, you see how misleading it could be from the things that they say and how people believe it. Like the brother Lamar Jackson tweeted something out that was totally against what the Bible said, but he believes in the Bible. But it was totally against what the Bible says to our understanding. But yet it was so many people agreeing with them in the comments. You're right. You're so right. And we live in a world today where people are so sensitive. It's just like, who are people to tell him what he knows about the Bible? People could read the Bible every day and still can't tell him he's doing it wrong. The brother Hassad said it, and I posted it on my TikTok, and he was going off on a rant because basically saying like, look, so-called black man has some nerve. You wouldn't tell a surgeon, a brain surgeon, how to work on a duma alligata, however you say that. You wouldn't tell a bodybuilder the right way of lifting weights. You wouldn't tell a baseball player how to swing the bat correctly, but you would tell somebody who reads the Bible and studies the Bible every day how they interpret the Bible or how they're misinterpreting the Bible. That is the nerve of our people. And that just goes back to understanding that our people don't really stand for much. We just fall for everything. We fall for everything. Look, even The Rock mentioned that in the song. They might just try that slap again. Look how good it distracted them. We have no knowledge of the right thing to do, right? Let's get another precept. This is the book of Jeremiah. It's like it. This is Jeremiah chapter 5 and verse number 22.
Give them food and water, they won't rebel. That's accurate.
Right. It's like it. Jeremiah 4. It's like kind. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 4 and verse 22, right? It says, "For my people is foolish. They have not known me. They are sottish children, and they have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge," right? So we understand that, look, our people, the Most High God is telling it, hey, his people are still foolish. When you go back to Joshua and read this, you can understand where a lot of these things are regurgitated from Deuteronomy when Moses was giving us these laws, statutes, and commandments again, right? Regurgitating them, reiterating them to us. You can see how important it was that we did all these things, right? Let me read verse number 11. It says, "Take good heed therefore unto yourselves that ye love the Lord your God. Else, if ye do in any wise go back and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they to you, know for a certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until ye perish from off this good land which the Lord your God hath given you." And this did happen because we looked at other people's gods and thought, delicious. You know what I'm saying? We didn't choose to do the right thing. We didn't stand together as a nation. I charge people to go read the book of First Maccabees, the second chapter, all the way through. Just read it, because you will see how resilient our people were for the name of the Most High, for His word. Our people literally got put to death on the Sabbath day for no reason, just because we know we didn't want to profane and make war on the Sabbath. They wanted to keep the Sabbath holy, so they chose to die. Our people wouldn't be willing to do that now. Now instead, we would rather kill each other on the Sabbath day. A man just got arrested for killing three dudes standing in the middle of the street, speeding through. They was at a party going into the Sabbath day or coming out of the Sabbath day, but they went to that party going on the Sabbath day. It just shows you, man, how crazy it is that these things happen to our people. And if we were to stand together and unite together, just take a simple look at the Montgomery bus boycott. There is not even too much history that you need to go into to show people unifying, especially our people. Just go look at what happens when our people are come together. We're literally stronger together, and we literally make a difference, right? You got anything to add out,
La.
Con? But I'm finna just go ahead and get off this thing, man. I'm gonna wrap it up. Uh, all praise to the Most High. Most High willing, it was edifying. Another Wisdom Wednesday. We'll be back on here for tomorrow and Friday as well. Um, to just go over, think about it. Thursdays led by the brother Dunall, and the brother Azrael will be on Friday. So stay tuned, man. But I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to the Most High God by way of His only begotten Son, who is an instrument of salvation for the nation. Brother Yeshaya,
Brother Dunno.
right, with the hopeful elect, man. And we want to say Shalom. Most High willing, it was edifying. But we do hope you all have a great day of labor tomorrow. And stay strong, Israel. Endure all these afflictions. Repent, keep the faith, keep the commandments. But with that, Shalom, Shalom. Tune in tomorrow. Think about it Thursdays. Shalom.
Shalom. Study hard.